welcome to Mod Pod with Fukunaga, a podcast that celebrates the strength and pulse of the luxury market. And now, here's your host, Vanessa Fukunaga.
Hi everyone, it's Vanessa Fukunaga again, and today we are here joining our Mod Pod with Fukunaga, but today is Mod Pod with Fukunaga on the go because we are in Ciudad de Mexico. Today we had an ocean blue brunch in the city. That was really fun, and we decided to do some podcasts on the move. And so today we have our special guest star, Alejandro Herrasti. Herrasti. Oh my gosh, I practiced 5 times and I still got it wrong. You've been featured. You've been fired. You've been featured in Ocean Blue.
That's right.
As an architect, and you have your own business.
Yes.
Now, what has stirred in you to pay such close attention to detail and style and architecture and forms and all of that? Where did that all come from?
Well, just for the pleasure of it. Since I got started as an architect, I realized that the details are really what makes the difference, no? In architecture. And in our profession, proportion and the proportion of spaces and it's very important, but that is really enhanced with the details. No? Mm-hmm. So I usually try to work both projects at the same time, the architectural project as well as the interior design project. And in that area particularly is where we focus on the details, on the quality of the details. Mm-hmm. I think that makes a difference.
Oh, it definitely does. I've seen some of your photos, especially on Instagram. When people want to find you, by the way, how is it best to find you? On your Insta?
Yeah, my name, Alejandro Herrasti, Herrasti.
Okay, on his Insta, of course. Yeah. And you'll see the most amazing photos because I think your eye for obviously detail, architecture, but also when you take the photos is really important. I love, one of my favorite ones is the floating egg.
Yeah, that has a great story. That egg is actually a sculpture by Ingo Maurer. It was actually a recently conceived sculpture that he did for New York, and we contacted him in Germany, and we asked him if he could sell us one of his pieces. And this one, the one that you saw in a house in Monterrey, is actually the third one that he made.
Okay.
And, in order for him to sell it to us, he asked for all the floor plans and all the information about the project.
Wow.
Before he said yes. No? And I was lucky that he said yes. We have it placed at this entrance in a very important house in Monterrey, and it is a stunning piece, really.
It's beautiful.
It is called Pendulum, which is it's an egg that oscillates in the air. And,
yes.
And you know, some hurricanes have gone through Monterrey, and the piece is standing perfectly there. No, so far, 12 years ago, we placed it there, and it's still looking great.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite photos. I absolutely love it because you see it suspended, but you don't see how it's suspended. It's really, really incredible. Do you feel like you have a signature style, or do you feel like you tune in to what the client wants without infusing your own signature style? Or do you feel like there's a little detail or a little touch that you'll always leave with every house?
Well, I have to say that I really like good quality materials and finishes. That's something that I look for. No? And but no, I usually try to invent myself in every project with new things, and that's part of the fun of designing. No? But you can see a trace, in the materials, in the colors that I like, in the finishes that I like, and I would say even in the proportions. If you have a keen eye, you can find some of the proportions of the different architectural elements that are like a constant. No, but I don't know. I'm probably not the person to say that.
But I feel like I can see it almost.
I'm sure you do, yeah.
Because
you have a keen eye too.
Because I can see the uniqueness, but I feel like there's a touch of you in all of these designs that I see. And I love that. I love that because I think, you see the qualities there. Obviously, the quality is top level.
We try to.
And I wouldn't want anything designed for anybody else. You know what I mean? So I love that you have that uniqueness.
Thank you.
Now, how many years have you been doing this?
I don't know. It's been quite some time. I arrived in Mexico City about 27 years ago. And I started my firm about, I don't know, probably about 18 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. How did you get your very first client?
Actually, it was a funny thing. What brought me here to Mexico City, I was living in Rome, and I had there was a health problem that my father had, and I had to come back to Mexico. And so I called a friend of my father's who lived here in Mexico City, and he suggested that I would go find architect Pedro Ramirez Vázquez, a very famous architect here in Mexico City.
Okay.
That I should speak to him. And I started with the project of the chapel of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Rome, in the Vatican.
Wow.
That was the first job that I did here in Mexico City. It was not my client, but it was my first job, no? And a fascinating job, really. It was a very small space in the Vatican, in the next to the tomb of St. Peter. A very, very tiny little space designated for the chapel of the Virgin of Guadalupe, no? And that has a lot of symbolism. It was really, for me, that was a life experience.
Yeah.
To be around these huge architects and figures of our profession, and to work with them when I was 25 years old. No? That was a really important thing for me. I'm always grateful for that. That was my first job. My first client, I don't recall, a close friend a very close friend of mine from Mazatlan.
Oh.
She was building a house in the new marina in El Cid, the new marina in Mazatlan, and she called me. She had already started building the house. She didn't like the way it was looking.
Okay.
And she called me and she said, "Can we do something about this?" So we demolished the whole house and started from scratch. Yeah. It just came to my mind, but she was very brave to accept that.
Yes.
Because I was also very young and very new in the profession.
Oh my gosh.
It was a nice experience too.
But sometimes it's actually easier to start over than to renovate.
Well, I think she was very smart to do that. Because,
yes.
I mean, the process was even cheaper.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
we redesigned the house, we optimized most of the spaces, and the result was even better. No?
Yeah, yeah. And how many clients do you think? How many projects do you have working that you're working on at a time? Will you take one at a time? You'll take multiple at a time.
Yeah, well, I like to do that, but
yeah.
Well, now with the pandemic, things have slowed down a lot.
Okay.
But we used to have about 12 or 14 projects at a time. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, we're probably working on 5 or 6, no more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's going to be a tendency or not. But
5 or 6 is better than 3 or 4. Better than 2 or 3. That's what I always say. That's what I say when I play golf. A 6 is better than a 7.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, what is your idea? Are you getting more clients through word of mouth or? Yeah.
That's basically our process. But now with the pandemic, I have to say that many funny things have happened. I don't know, for some reason, there have been connections, very strange connections, that I'm enjoying a lot now with this possibility of the network. I was recently contacted by a lady in Manila.
Okay.
From the Philippines.
Wow.
She's a very sophisticated and very funny lady.
Uh-huh.
And she called me and she said that she wanted to build a project of a new church in Manila.
Okay.
She was hoping to finance the whole project. No?
Okay.
And that happened in the pandemic. I mean, amazing, no? And I'm really enthused about this project. It's still we're still talking about it. But I'm really hopeful that we will be able to do it in Manila. I haven't never been to the Philippines.
Okay.
This will be a first time for me, and I'm really looking forward to it.
But that's interesting. It's another avenue where, like, even your first job, you have to start somewhere. And
well, actually, she saw some images of that chapel in Rome, in Italy, and that's why she called me. She contacted me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, she's a very devotee of the Virgin of Guadalupe, and that's why she called me. But it's amazing, no? In the middle of the pandemic, and you have these experiences. I mean,
out of the blue.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
you never know. I always think that something good is going to happen out of what may seem challenging in the moment, and there'll be a life lesson that will be learned.
I agree. And I'm really looking forward to start a job in Cabo too.
Yes.
I want to go and live there.
Yes, everybody needs to come to Cabo. Oh my gosh.
I'm always jealous when I see your posts of those beautiful sights in the ocean. And it's a marvelous place.
Yes, you need to come do some interior design for some of those houses. You definitely do.
I hope so, yeah.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. It is a magical, magical place to live. But I have to admit, what's fun is because it's an hour and a half or something like that away. I can just pop over here and I don't know, it just has like a different vibe.
It is, yeah.
Right? So at first yesterday when it was raining, I said, where's my sun and where are my beaches? And then the Ocean Blue team group got together and then we went to dinner and it just, it was just like really fun. It had a fun, loungy, cool DJ kind of a feel and I miss that. And I think that's fun to be able to do every so often, because normally with my hair in a bun, pajamas, and with my little baby Ava, my little dog Ava,
beautiful
and
dog.
We're watching.
Yeah.
Have you seen her on Instagram?
Yeah, I have.
Cabo Ava. She has her own Instagram page, Cabo Ava. How funny is that?
She's beautiful.
Oh, she's so sweet. She's my baby. But we'll watch Netflix. And really? I'm definitely a homebody. So if I'm not out with clients or, with some new project or something, I really enjoy being home. And I think that's also something that I tell people too. When we're selling houses, it's not just selling 4 walls and a roof. You need to sell the sentiment and people wanting to be there and wanting to be there with their friends and their family. And so when you're designing a house, you're creating these spaces where they're going to live. And
well, actually, one of my main concerns when we design is that our projects that our projects age well.
Yes.
I'm always concerned that they have a long period of endurance. Is that how you say it?
Endurance.
That they remain being comfortable and nice for at least 10 or 15 years.
Yes.
Because that's how the cycles of life are in the families, and people have them. I did a small project here in Mexico City, a tiny little apartment here in Polanco for a lady, and she was an important art collector. Her collection was marvelous, really, and she had a pair of dogs. And the reason why she was moving to this small apartment was because it had a small garden, and she had the possibility of getting the dogs out into the garden in the middle of the night or whatever. And after we finished the project, she was not very comfortable about the size of the house. It was very tiny, very, very small, no?
Okay.
And about a month later, she called me and she said, listen, I have to be very thankful because you didn't only give me an apartment, you gave me a home, no? And that really made me feel so happy, no? Because the dogs were enjoying themselves. She was really happy with the spaces. She finally found that the spaces made sense for her, no?
Yes.
And she had the sensibility and the generosity of sharing that with me, no? And I was very thankful for that too. But I like that, no? She found that it was a home more than just a project or an apartment.
I love that. I love when people can go home like I do, and I want to be home.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be there. It's your place of comfort, or it has great, you know, I'm into ambiance, so it has to have beautiful ambiance and the furniture and the decor and all that kind of stuff. I have to want to be there, and so I really, really enjoy that. So are you doing projects? You said you're going to do one in Manila,
Hopefully.
possibly.
Yeah.
We want you to definitely come to Cabo to do projects.
I will.
Are you primarily doing your projects here in Mexico City?
No, in Mexico as a country. We work in Monterrey a lot, and
Okay.
yeah, several cities within Mexico as a country. No?
Okay.
But yeah, most of our work has been in Mexico City. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, with the growth of the city, these big apartments have become like a need. No, people want these great locations with great views, and the only way you can get that is in these skyscrapers or in these tall buildings. No?
True.
So there is a lot of work for us in apartment spaces, no? Big apartment spaces, no? And that it's like a different mindset, no? Because there you have to think more about the technology, and the lighting is fundamental. There are other values, no, involved in that kind of spaces. No?
So in the next 3 to 5 years, you know, there are trends that come up and down. Do you find that you are looking for additional styles? Will you follow what's trendy? Or do you find your own way? Or do you think you'll create a trend? Or what do you think your approach is going to be over the next, you know, 5 years?
That's a difficult question to answer. I particularly try not to follow trends.
Okay.
What I said before, I try to be unique in every project, no?
Right.
As much as possible. No? And but I feel that now we have to focus more on local materials and on local executions, and for that reason, I'm looking forward to incorporate more natural materials, local materials, and also the handcrafts of Mexico. No? We have this beautiful country where we have, I mean, like a treasure of possibilities, no? Within the natural materials as well as the handcrafts of our artisans, no? So I'm really looking forward to incorporate that more and more into our architectural designs.
I think that's amazing, because I think people outside of Mexico don't necessarily understand the level of art and culture and gastronomy and architecture and artisans that we have, art itself that Mexico has to offer. Yeah. And I think when you incorporate that in all different kinds of levels, I think it makes it very, very interesting.
I think that there is more awareness of that. You know? Every time we're much more aware of that. And well, at least I'll try to incorporate it as much as I can. You know?
Good.
Yeah.
We want that
That's
to happen.
in my plans. Yeah.
Now, how do you see your business in the next maybe 10 years? Do you find yourself that you will do this forever? Will it be a legacy company?
Well, I was formed as an architect here in Mexico. No, we have this European influence. No, and in that matter, I think that we architects see ourselves working until we die. No? we have no retirement issues or anything. And in 10 years, I would love to be living in Los Cabos. That's my plan.
Less than 10 years, please.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, that's my favorite spot in the world, I think.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
You know, when you're looking at the ocean and you see the whales going by, I mean, that poetry of those views is amazing.
It is. Remember when
you told me once.
Yes.
I'm here looking at the whales going by, jumping.
I know.
I want to be there. You know.
I can't help it, because when I'm on the phone with somebody, I always have to brag that the backdrop is overlooking the Sea of Cortez or something like that. Yes. Remember when we were at Las Ventanas?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, you can get everything there. It's really amazing.
La Botica, no?
La Botica. So do you know La Botica actually sponsors my Mod Pod with Fukunaga?
Really? Wow.
So normally I'm recording there.
Okay.
But today we're Mod Pod on the move, and so we're doing it from Ciudad de Mexico. So
say hello for me to Rosalia de Cuba,
I will.
Frederick and Luis. No?
I will. Now, what would the words be, the last words you would like to impart on future architects that want to get started in the business? What advice would you give them?
It's very competitive. You have. I think you have to have a differentiator. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Something that makes you unique. No? And as I said before, perhaps we can turn our heads to the local solutions, no? More than international. We used to import a lot of ideas and a lot of furniture and everything, no? And I think we have to look back inside, into our own resources.
I think that's a great way to put it. Love, absolutely love. Well, thank you so much, Alejandro, for joining me today on today's Mod Pod with Fukunaga on location. This has been really fun to do this in Ciudad de Mexico. Oh my God, I'm having an absolute blast.
Delighted to see you. Delighted.
Really happy. Now, when are you going to visit us next in Cabo?
Well, let's hope next month.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, thank you everyone, and we will see you next time. Love.
Thanks for listening to Mod Pod with Fukunaga. Follow the episodes on all major podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and many more.